Where do you go if you need information about sex-related topics?
To like Google, sex, you know.
I'm currently taking health. Me too.
The guidance counselors always say if there's no one around to help you, just go to the health clinic.
I would ask people with experience, teachers, anyone.
I'd rather talk to my friends.
I'm sure you go to the internet somewhere.
I think I would go to my public library.
I don't know. I don't really look into it much.
I took health and guidance in my 9th grade class, so I got information from there and just like asking around, just my friends and stuff.
Probably with my older friends or my sister.
I would go to my teachers because they know a lot, or my parents.
I don't know, you could always ask your parents too, but I think that's kind of uncomfortable.
Hi, I'm Wendy, and I'm here with Gabby, Kim, and Jason to talk about the realities of STDs. Do you think that people think about the physical consequences and how that affects their lives?
If we saw the consequences real life, and maybe we'd think about it better, about, you know, thinking about before having sex and getting with someone with an STD.
Like I said earlier, all the teens learn about them, but they don't take it into consideration that can happen to them. So yeah, they know it can happen, but people don't know a lot of people with STDs, so they see it around, but I don't think that they're fully aware of what it's really like.
As for the physical consequences of STDs, I don't think that's something a teenager or any person is really going to think about, for example, in a relationship or with another person. It's just something that you don't directly go to. You're thinking about other things and you're really not thinking about an STD or how it may affect your health or affect your life in certain ways.
Do you think like protection is important?
I think the #1 issue in a teenage relationship is, oh dang, am I gonna get pregnant or not? That's why I'm using a condom, or that's why I'm using birth control. And many teens may think, oh, I'm on birth control, so I don't have to worry about anything. But in reality, you have to worry about STDs, and I don't think that's the #1 concern on people's minds when they're in a sexual relationship. I think the #1 concern in a teenager's mind is pregnancy.
What is the emotional reality of dealing with a sexually transmitted disease?
I think that kids or teens these days won't realize the true consequence and the guiltiness of what's happened until they got it. So people these days really need to think before they act.
I'd have to agree with that as well. If you had AIDS, you'd also feel for yourself, but you would also feel for the people around you and your mate, and having to jeopardize their life with AIDS.
I think emotionally having an STD is an extremely stressful situation to the person who has it. It's taxing on yourself and on other people you are in a relationship with, and there's so many things you have to worry about, physical and emotional, and it's just something that's extremely difficult to deal with.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today and sharing your opinions, and we hope you realize the risks of not protecting yourself.
When teens think about the risks of sex, everyone thinks about pregnancy. But the scary truth is that 41,000 teens and college students contract STDs every day. Next, the Teens in Action crew asked the experts about the realities of STDs.
In Burbank, there are many places for young people to find information and to get help if they need it.
Today, we're going to have a panel discussion on STDs. Our panelists are Reve Carrillo from Valley Teen Clinic and our family physician, Dr. Newman. Welcome. I'm going to start with the first question. Could you have an STD and not know about it?
Yes, of course you can have an STD and not know about it, because many STDs cause no symptoms at all, especially in women. There's also STDs in men that also do not cause symptoms. Teens and people continue to have sexual intercourse and contact with each other and continue to pass the disease back and forth without even knowing it.
What is the most common question asked at the clinic?
The most common question asked at the clinic is, does the pap smear hurt? And because the first initial visits, they have to get a pap smear. And I usually make them feel very comfortable, and I advise them that most teens feel uncomfortable, not necessarily hurt.
What is the most common reason why teens come to the clinic?
to make sure that they are preventing pregnancy and they are making a difference.
Why are clinics important to teens' health?
It's actually the patient, if you think about it, it's the patient's first really medical decision they have to make by themselves. There's no parents around them telling them, okay, sign here. It could be scary, but we really make the atmosphere very comfortable.
If you walk around in an area where there's a bunch of teens hanging out, no one's going to expect that any of them have a sexually transmitted disease. It's not something you see on their face, but 1 in 10 teenage girls who are sexually active will have chlamydia. So if there's someplace out there where you can find information about sexually transmitted diseases, how to prevent them and how to cure them or how to treat them, then that's where the clinic comes in and can give that advice.
Do you see more girls or guys?
In an average, we see more girls than guys.
Both men and women come to the emergency room because they're usually coming in when they have painful lesions or discharge or actually having symptoms.
How are STDs passed from one person to another?
It's basically physical contact, and oral intercourse, vaginal intercourse, anal. You might not even have intercourse, but if you have an open sore and the person that's infected that has, and you come in contact, there's a possible opening that you'll get.
A lot of sexual contact occurs outside of the use of the condom. You can get many of these things, including warts, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and other things in your mouth. And all those contacts can cause the transmission of a sexually transmitted disease. Condoms most of the time are not used effectively for either pregnancy prevention and especially for STD prevention.
If teens come in and they don't have insurance, what can they do to be seen?
We don't accept insurance, so we can still give them the services they need.
Are STDs curable?
Okay, an example of an STD being cured is genital warts. Actually, there's non-curable and there's curable.
The warts are treated or removed by several ways. One of them is by using a chemical, and one of them is an acid. It's burned off, it's touched to the skin, and it does hurt, and then the warts will be affected by the burn and eventually go away. But that is not one treatment of the burn, but several over weeks.
And if you do have an outbreak of a wart, you can freeze them off.
They also can be cut off by electrocautery. It's actually taking a very, very hot loop and incising the wart off the skin. The virus that causes warts never goes away, and you can get treated for the warts and then have the warts again from the first occurrence of being exposed to that virus. Of course, there's bacterial diseases that can be cured by antibiotics. If you take them in time and you take them appropriately, you can cure an STD that's a bacteria by an antibiotic. But many, many teens don't get treated at all, and they become even worse infections like a pelvic inflammatory disease and can cause scarring. So the biggest thing is prevention, because no, they're not curable, so you want to prevent STDs. And the most important way to prevent STDs is by postponing sex.
Thank you, Dr. Newman, and thank you, Reve Carrillo, for sharing your knowledge with us. We have learned a lot today, and I hope you have too.
Thank you for joining us. We hope this show gave you something to think about, and please know that there's always someone you can talk to.
There are a lot of teens who put this show together. As the credits roll, you will see some of what the members of Teens in Action did behind the scenes to create this show.
We'll see you next time on Teens in Action.
Bye.